Tuesday, 28 August 2018. In our lead stories, nationally, vendors prohibited from selling in and around Charlestown, and murder victim number 20 identified here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Regionally, Jamaican Prime Minister joins in condemning killing of 14-year-old girl in Ardnett Gardens. Internationally, Queen of Soul Aretha Franklin to lie in state in Detroit. And in sports, San Antonio Spurs guard Manu Ginobili retires after 23-year career. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse.
Wow.
Welcome back. Another national news in detail. No vending will be permitted in and around Charlestown. That's according to a letter signed by Superintendent of Police in the Nevis District, Lyndon David. The letter reads in part, and I quote, "Effective Monday, 27th August 2018, no vending will be permitted in Charlestown," end quote. Vending is the selling of goods or merchandise. Furthermore, Section 3, Chapter 8.01 of the Charlestown Vending Prohibition Ordinance states that vending is prohibited on the streets, sidewalks, public squares, or at any public places in Charlestown. Moreover, Section 4 of the ordinance says that persons selling goods will only be able to do so at the Charlestown Public Market and in any other area from time to time designated by the Minister of Finance, who is Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley. Section 5 states that if a person acts in contravention or violation of the ordinance, he or she will be liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding $1,000 or to be imprisoned not exceeding 3 months. The identity of the 20th homicide victim here on St. Kitts and Nevis for 2018 has been revealed. Dead is 32-year-old Mikhail Liebert of Pine Garden, Shadwell, St. Kitts. Liebert, who is the son of fire, hitting him multiple times about the body. It is reported that he ran a short distance, then fell, where he succumbed to his injuries at the scene. Police investigations into the matter are currently ongoing, and anyone who may have any information to contact their nearest police station or the Violent Crimes Unit. St. Kitts and Nevis's Prime Minister, Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris, has issued a statement and expressed his sympathy to the Minister of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Ian Patches Liebert, following the tragic death of the minister's son. In it, PM Harris said, and I quote, "My team, Unity Government, and I lift up our beloved colleague and his whole family in a prayer and ask God to heal the unimaginable heartbreak of having to bury a child. Minister Liebert can count on us to give him the emotional support needed during this incredibly painful time," end quote. Prime Minister Harris added, "While tragedy knocks us to our knees, it also brings us closer to the people in our lives. Patches, I am here for you. The country stands with you, and our cabinet will only go closer in this ordeal." Meantime, St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party SKNLP candidate for St. Christopher 1 East Bastyr, Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, has expressed sympathy to the Honorable Ian Patches Liebert in the wake of his son's death. "I learned of your son's death, my former Boy Scout. It's always difficult to say much at this time. But Honorable Liebert, do know that I care deeply about you as a human being. the SKNLP candidate in closing, I am keeping you in positive, caring thoughts. Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, will hold his monthly press conference tomorrow, Wednesday, August 29th. It will begin at 9:30 a.m. at the Cabinet Room on the second floor of the Social Security Building at Pinnes Estate, Nevis. At the conference, Premier Brantley will provide an update on matters of national interest. Members of the press will be afforded the opportunity to ask questions for listening and viewing public. The proceedings will be carried live on VON Radio. Meantime, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris will also hold his press conference on August 29th. The Prime Minister's monthly press conference will start at 3 p.m. in the Parliamentary Lounge at Government Headquarters, St. Kitts. At that forum, PM Harris will update citizens and residents of the St. Kitts and Nevis on matters of national interest. Teachers here on Nevis have been admonished to commit to an equal or better effort for the upcoming year. The encouragement came from Junior Minister for Education in the Nevis Island Administration, the Honorable Troy Liburd, 1 week ahead of the reopening of schools here on Nevis. Minister Liburd was addressing the teaching fraternity at the Nevis Performing Arts Center, NEPAC, for the Department of Education's annual Back to School 2018 opening ceremony. Minister Liburd also pledged his ministry's support towards the teaching fraternity.
The ministry will continue its thrust towards implementation of the sector plan. We are committed to improving working and learning conditions. We will seek to introduce a program of proactive maintenance in our schools. And we will seek to implement this in the upcoming budget cycle. We will be proactive in addressing some of the major concerns expressed by our teachers. I single out the issue with our year heads and our department heads in our high schools. That is an issue that we are intending to tackle in our next budget cycle.
The Honorable Troy Liburd. The theme under which the event was held was redefining our mindset to develop our future through holistic education. The 2018-2019 academic school year begins on Monday, 3rd September 2018. 4 schools here on Nevis, namely the St. James's Primary, Ivor Walters Primary, Elizabeth Pemberton Primary, and Maud Cross Preparatory School, have received a donation to initiate the start of the second phase of the Early Learners Program. The donation was made by the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean State, OECS, and the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. At a ceremony held at the Department of Education, Marion Heights, last week, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Mr. Kevin Barrett, who handed over the items to the Principal Education Officer, Mrs. Palsy Wilkin, encouraged the teachers to use the resources to their fullest.
We are delighted that this is happening, and I am sure the teachers who would get these resources are equally delighted. It will add on to your resources that you have in your classroom, and it also would add on to all of the things that you could do and try with your students. And I'm hoping that from this set of resources that we have, that we could indeed see some improvement in our literacy and reading programs at school.
Mr. Kevin Barrett. The program is a special grant for Sustainable Reading Enhancement Initiative and is a part of the Enhancing School Improvement component of the OECS USAID Early Learners Program. The initiative undertakes to provide school-based teams with the opportunity to develop innovative reading enhancement programs. The first phase of the program began in 2017 and targets students from kindergarten to grade 3. The schools that benefited from the phase 1 of the program were the Charlestown Primary, Violet Nichols Primary, Nevis Academy, and the Joycelyn Liburd Primary Schools. And finally, an investigation into the alleged shooting of a young man by an officer of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force is underway. The Office of Professional Standards, the unit responsible for overseeing investigations into all reports involving police officers, will seek to ascertain the circumstances surrounding the shooting of Samari Storm Webb while he was in the custody of the police. The incident, which saw Webb being shot and injured, occurred on the morning of Friday, 24th August in the Brimstone Hill area on St. Kitts. Reports are that Webb, who is reportedly from Nevis, was taken into police custody for questioning in relation to an ongoing search operation for wanted man Vincent Taylor. Preliminary investigations have revealed that at some time during the questioning, one of the officers turned to speak with the other, and Webb rushed towards that officer and held on to his firearm in an attempt to take it away. A scuffle ensued and Webb was shot in the shoulder. He was rushed to the JNF hospital for medical attention by the officers, where he is currently receiving treatment. A video circulating on social media on Friday morning showed Webb lying on a hospital bed recounting his experience after the incident. The Forensic Services Unit and the Violent Crimes Unit both visited and processed the scene and carried out inquiries. That's our national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio, as well as on youtube.com. News from across the region is next.
This summer, the Bank of Nevis Limited offers you sizzling hot vacation loans. Come and experience summer like never before with our easy-to-access summer vacation loan. Get up to $15,000 unsecured with up to 2 years to repay. Take a trip, experience the world, or participate in our very own Culturama. Enjoying your vacation has never been easier with a relaxing vacation loan from the Bank of Nevis Limited. My bank, your bank, our bank. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook.
Welcome back, and all the regional news in detail. Out of Jamaica, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has condemned the gruesome murder of 14-year-old Yatanya Francis of Arnett Gardens in Kingston. Young Yatanya was found dead after she went missing on Thursday night. Her charred body was found on Friday in the community. Holness expressed outrage at the incident and said, "The thugs who murdered 14-year-old Yatanya Francis have no place in the Jamaican society we are seeking to create." The Prime Minister said the police have assured him that no stone will be left unturned to find the heartless perpetrators. Holness also appealed to anyone with information on the killing to report it to the police or to call Crime Stop at 311. Out of Suriname, one person has died and 14 others were hospitalized after 2 road accidents on Sunday in Suriname. Police say that driver Wilfred Welcome, 36, was killed on the spot when another vehicle driven by the 19-year-old Akshayand B crashed into his. The accident happened at Anton Dragtenweg in North Paramaribo around 10 a.m. Police said Bing was driving at high speed towards the capital when he lost control of the steering wheel, causing his car to swerve into the opposite lane, hitting Welcome's vehicle head-on. Welcome's car flipped over and crashed into a wall on the roadside. He was killed instantly. B suffered a broken leg. His 3 passengers also suffered minor injuries, and all 4 were taken to the Academic Hospital, AZ, in Paramaribo. A crash later on Sunday afternoon sent another 10 people, including 1 toddler, to hospital. That car accident occurred at Kennedy Highway in District Para, some 40 kilometers south of Paramaribo. Police say the crash involved 3 buses. all of them carrying passengers. Out of the Cayman Islands. Former Premier and current Speaker of the Legislative Assembly in the Cayman Islands, Makiva Bush, has denied that his consulting firm is working with or consulting for China Harbour Engineering Company, CHEC. The parent company of CHEC, China Communications Construction Company Limited, CCCC, was barred from being involved in projects financed by the World Bank in 2009 under its fraud and corruption sanctioning policy. In a memo written on behalf of his company, WNB International Consulting Limited, regarding his connections to CHEC, Bush indicated that he was in Belize in June, introducing the Beijing-based firm to possible investments there, but he has said he is not working with them. In 2013, as then Premier, Bush faced opposition from Britain's Foreign and Commonwealth Office, FCO, over his decision to negotiate with CHEC outside international procurement standards over the development of cruise berthing facilities in Grand Cayman. And finally, out of Barbados. The Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, has announced the debarment of GL Systems LLC, an American company, for 4 years in connection with allegations of prohibited practices in 3 IDB-financed activities. 1. The Program for the Modernization of Customs, Excise and VAT Areas in Barbados. 2. The Barbados Competitiveness Program. And 3. An IDB Corporate Procurement Contract. This is the IDB's first debarment resulting from a negotiated resolution agreement which was negotiated and entered into by the IDB's Office of Institutional Integrity in accordance with the IDB Group's sanctions procedures. GL Systems entered into the settlement agreement on behalf of itself and the custom software product lines of the business formerly known as Greenline Systems, Inc. and AT Solutions, Inc. The debarment may be extended to 7 years if GL Systems fails to comply with the commitment or other terms of the settlement. That's it for regional stories. Stay with us for news from around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. Thousands of fans are expected to pay their respects to Aretha Franklin, the so-called Queen of Soul, who died nearly 2 weeks ago. Among those paying their respects is Reverend Robert Smith Jr. of the New Bethel Baptist Church, where Aretha began her career singing gospel.
Now you got to remember, she's a queen, and for 60 years she's been putting in, and now you see the results. The sweet love is just flowing out everywhere.
Franklin's body will lie in state for 2 days at an African-American museum in her hometown, Detroit, before her funeral there on Friday. Detroit, seen as the home of soul music, is treating Franklin's death as the passing of royalty. A week of mourning is being held in the city. The 76-year-old's body will be on public view on Tuesday and Wednesday at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. The museum also hosted civil rights activist Rosa Parks' viewing in 2005. Russia plans to hold massive war games involving 300,000 personnel next month, its biggest military maneuver since the Cold War. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said units from China and Mongolia would take part in the exercise at military ranges in central and eastern Russia. The exercises come at a time of rising tension between NATO and Russia. Sarah Rainsford reports.
The context is absolutely vital, of course. This is post-Crimea, 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea and relations with the West were plunged to a very, very low place. Now, of course, Russia is under fairly heavy Western sanctions, more sanctions threatened by the United States, precisely because of what's happened in Ukraine over the past few years and other acts of aggression that Russia's been accused of since then, in terms of meddling with elections in the US and elsewhere. So I think Russia feels that the West is trying to isolate it, that the West is an aggressive force, and Russia is fighting back, if you like, with this huge military exercise.
And finally, French Environmental Minister Nicolas Hulot has resigned on live radio in a dramatic announcement that caught even President Emmanuel Macron by surprise. The former TV presenter and green activist said he had quit after a series of disappointments in attempts to address climate change and other environmental threats. Hugh Schofield reports.
A veteran environmental campaigner famous for his globe-trotting TV program and his boyish good looks, Nicolas Hulot was an important catch for President Macron. But 14 months in government seemed to have disabused him of the usefulness of ministerial office. In a radio interview, Mr. Hulot said that on a range of promises, protecting biodiversity, reducing carbon emissions, banning pesticides, no real progress had been made, and that as minister his work was constantly made subordinate to the overriding interests of the economy and agriculture.
That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
Nature has its natural course, and there's nothing we can do about that. Right? Well, you're wrong.
Let TDC Insurance help you when nature strikes by rebuilding your damaged property and getting you back on your feet in no time. This is why you need to ensure your property investment is fully covered with insurance from TDCIC. We've got your back. Visit us on the corner of West Independence, Square Street and Bank Street. TDC Insurance Company, guaranteeing you peace of mind.
Welcome back. Another sports in detail. In basketball, NBA Chiefs described San Antonio Spurs guard Manu Ginobili as a pioneer of basketball after he announced his retirement following a 23-year career. The 41-year-old Argentine, widely seen as the most successful foreign player in NBA history, is the only non-U.S. player to have won 4 championships and an Olympic gold. He is a 2-time All-Star 2005-2011 and was seen Man of the Year in 2008. Ginobili began his professional career in 1995 in Argentina before moving to Italy. He was selected by the Spurs with the 57th pick in the 1999 NBA, but did not join the team until 2002. Instead, he went back to Italy. He rejoined the Spurs for the 2002-2003 season, where he began his NBA career, winning 4 NBA crowns between 2003 and 2014, and helping Argentina to a shock Olympic gold medal in Athens in 2004. In football, Usain Bolt is set to make his debut for Central Coast Mariners, despite saying he is struggling with the physical demands of professional football. The Jamaican 8-time Olympic sprint champion 31 joined the Australian A-League side for an indefinite training period earlier this month. The Mariners will face an amateur side in a pre-season friendly on Friday. Coach Mike Mulvey said Bolt has rudimentary skills, adding, "I imagine he'll get some minutes." Mulvey said the 100-meter and 200-meter world record holder was doing okay, but would take some time to adjust. The 11-time world sprint champion has been playing as a left winger in training, but said he still needs to get up to pace with the stop-start nature of football matches. In cricket, The International Cricket Council, ICC, has appealed to the public for help in identifying the alleged match fixer who features in an undercover documentary. Al Jazeera broadcast a first program on the subject in May, with a second to air soon. The ICC said it had identified every other person in the original documentary, which included allegations against England and Australia players. Those claims were denied by both countries' cricket governing bodies. The ICC said its investigations into the claims was making good progress despite the absence of any cooperation from Al Jazeera. The broadcaster has said it will cooperate fully with the relevant authorities, but also must take into account ongoing legal considerations, including potential criminal investigations. And finally, in tennis. Six-time champion Serena Williams made her return to the U.S. Open with a clinical first-round win over Poland's Magda Linette. Williams, 36, missed her home slam last year, giving birth to daughter Olympia shortly after the tournament started. Opening Monday's session at Arthur Ashe Stadium, she won 6-4, 6-love against her 68th ranked opponent. The 17th seed will meet Germany Karina Wittheld in the second round. Williams is still on course to meet older sister Venus in the third round, although the prospect of facing world number 1 Simona Halep, her projected last 16 opponent, has disappeared after the Romanian shock defeat by Estonia's Kaia Kanepi. That's it for sports. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back, and now the local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight will be partly cloudy skies with a 40% or moderate chance of showers. Weather tomorrow would be partly sunny with periods of increased cloudiness and a 60% or moderate chance for more showers. Winds are east-northeast at 22 to 33 kilometers per hour at 12 to 18 knots with higher gusts over open waters. Seas are moderate to locally rough with significant wave heights of 1.5 to 2.1 meters or 5 to 7 feet. Small craft operators and sea bathers should continue to exercise caution. Sunrise tomorrow would be at 5:56 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Tuesday, 28th August 2018. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. In our lead stories, nationally, vendors prohibited from selling in and around Charlestown, and murder victim number 20 identified here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Regionally, Jamaican Prime Minister joins in condemning killing of 14-year-old girl in Arnett Gardens. Internationally, Queen of Soul Aretha Franklin to Lions State in Detroit. And in sports, San Antonio Spurs guard Manu Ginobili retires after a 23-year career. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tashan Tyson, wishing you a pleasant evening.